Welcome to the Fabulous at 50 podcast, where we are changing the aging narrative. I'm your host, Joanne Newduck, and I'm thrilled to bring you stories that matter and celebrate your place in the world. As an advocate for lifelong learning, health, and women's empowerment, I believe it's never too late to live the life you've always imagined. Through lively and informative interviews with inspiring guests, we'll explore a wide range of topics relevant to our global sisterhood of vibrant, inquiring women just like you. Join me for today's episode, and let's start changing the aging narrative together. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode. I am super excited to present to you my guest. Yvonne Winkler is such a joy to have a conversation with. She's bubbly and happy and sweet and a powerhouse. And her personal story is incredible. And I've known Yvonne for a number of years through a women's networking. And fairly recently we got together and we're talking and meeting. And she goes, this is probably the first time we met in person, which blew me away because I feel like I have known her for years and actually with real life hugs. And that it's really a testament to how far we've come for online connection. So Yvonne, welcome to today's episode.
Thank you for having me, Joanne. So thrilled to be here.
I'm really thrilled for this conversation because we both are supporting women in midlife, but from slightly different angles. A lot of the conversation overlaps, so we can get into juicy conversations, which we have many times. And recently, being interviewed on your Freedom Seeker podcast, which I'm thrilled to be able to share with the community. And if you haven't checked it out, please go over and check out Freedom Seekers. And you can hear that podcast because, I think this conversation, we're going to go ups and downs and all arounds for some different things here. So, but I want to start off with a little bit more about your personal journey because I think it's incredibly powerful. And you share quite a bit of this in your book. So if you want to share a bit about what is your book and your personal journey, and that'll be the kickstart to the rest of our conversation.
Oh, thank you. Yes. And yes, to your point, like we come from our areas of um expertise, genius, and those areas typically generate from something we've lived through or we've experienced, or we spend a great deal unpacking and learning about and developing. And for me, that is freedom. Freedom is one of my absolute core values. And where it originated from is simply my earlier part of my life. I was born and raised in former communist Germany. We don't have communism in Germany anymore. Yes. And that was certainly a tremendous exposure to the oppression of freedoms of all kinds, like mostly political, economical, um, uh, travel. We weren't allowed to go anywhere other than within the confines of the Eastern Europe, and freedom of speech, freedom of media. We didn't have, like, we had very filtered and censored information from newspapers to TV to books. So I've learned very early in my life the effects of being brainwashed. And later in my life, when we moved to West Germany, and then Canada, I experienced oppression in yet a different form. That is, as a woman in corporate America, in corporate Canada, and so again, there was these little nudges from the universe, constantly making me notice that I wasn't aligned with something. And again, the word freedom came up for me. So it was in corporate America, it was more around time freedom, the inability to rise to the equality of what my coworkers that were male were at, and opportunities and wage, like not having equal pay. So this overarching theme of freedom has been really my life, and my all of the experiences and lessons that I've learned so far. And in my book, I talk a lot about that journey. It's a memoir, so it's not a how-to book, or a guide of any kind. It is a memoir. It's just sharing my story of where I came from and what I've gone through,
It's a
and how.
phenomenal story. Like, it gives me
Thank you.
chills to know how you got out.
Out of East Germany.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. You'll have to pick up a copy to find out
absolutely.
what
I'm just
the
putting that as a
story is.
little teaser in there that
That's great.
it's phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And as women, and where I've come to with this in my work in the world is as women, we face these various forms of obstacles. And one thing I've learned, and believe firmly, is that freedom is a choice. So no matter what our circumstances are, we get to choose how we are going to respond to it and what we're going to do with our circumstances in the situation. And so that is fundamentally where I'm coming from now, is how I support women. And so whether you are in the seasons of early adolescence to midlife, where I find myself now, there are different challenges and obstacles, and I'm particularly working with women now who are in that midlife transition. So they're often
Right.
in a place at work where they're not excited about their days anymore for a multitude of reasons, whether that is that it rubs off that you've spent 30 years or 25 years working on a particular skill and you're not being recognized for it, or whether it is that your kids moved out of the house and you're now looking around and feeling like a little lost puppy and not knowing like what's up and what's down, and
Yeah.
feeling like
Like,
you have to regenerate a new sense of purpose now. Or
absolutely.
yeah, or whether it is that you are taking care of aging parents and the realities of our mortality is really you're coming face to face with that. So there are these transitions that we're experiencing in that midlife season that are really activating our dissatisfaction. And
Mm. Mhm.
and it really brings out that yearning for I want something more. Generally because we're realizing, wow, like I've done a great job up until this point, and what else is there? And so
Yeah,
this regenerated idea of like, now it's my turn. Now I get to do what I want to do. Like the kids are out of the
absolutely.
house, my responsibilities have changed. It's a different form of freedom. So that's where I step in, and that's
Yeah,
now how I contribute to the conversation in my work with women is like, okay, what do you want to do and how are we going to get you there? So yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, it was great. You answered a bunch of my questions that I was gonna ask you, which is good because what I'm hearing you say is that because of what you went through yourself, you knew true I was it's some like true oppression. I'll just say like overt oppression. And you were able to build up the resilience. You got away from that. You made a choice for something different, that now you're taking that to things that I would just say are a little bit more subliminal oppression. It's
Mhm.
less obvious oppression that women are facing. And you can take those same skills of resilience and apply it here as well. And taking them from, yeah, there's a lot of women that are just like, what next? There's got to be more.
Mhm.
There's a real, don't you find that women, when we hit midlife, there's like this pull of, okay, I've been doing this and doing this. I've been taking care of everybody else. I've been doing what I need to at work, but I want to fill my soul. Like, I mean, just for an example, I can't tell you how many women I know that left corporate world and became like Reiki masters or something. Like they really switched. There's a there's a pull to more heart-centeredness.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about that resilience that you have. Like, how are you then supporting women in midlife?
hmm Um, well, I would say the biggest thing is that self-awareness
Mm,
guiding women back um, to understanding that what makes them tick, understanding what they like and what they don't like. And for
yeah.
most of us, it's probably easier to discover first what we don't like than it
Oh,
is
absolutely.
to like ask anyone, out of the blue, well, what do you like? It's like, well, I spend all of my life pleasing others. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
what I like. So a big piece of my work with women, when we've, especially in the beginning stages of our work together, is that self-discovery piece, is this awareness piece. Like, what are your likes? What are your dislikes?
Yeah.
What really lights you up? And in that, in and of itself, there is so much, depending on how much work someone has already done in that area, there's so much to unravel, because as you're unraveling, you're also needing to let go, you're releasing, you're grieving, you know, you're you're working through stuff.
Mhm.
So the self-awareness piece is probably the biggest umbrella that we first work with.
Right. Right. Yeah.
However, the biggest piece on how I bring my resilience into this is by creating a safe space, first and
Okay.
foremost, because none of us have the ability to really tap into our intuition or into the feminine wisdom, as I call it, um, without without trust. And
Absolutely.
that trust comes from having a safe space. And unfortunately, many women are not used to having trust or used to having a safe space to express themselves, being seen and being heard. And that is probably where my work always begins, is, and
Beautiful.
I do most of it one-on-one, and for that very reason, because in order to trust others, we need to first learn how to trust ourselves. And
Mhm.
so our work begins there, and then it builds out into community, because
Yeah.
I do firmly believe we do need to also connect with others
Absolutely.
and
How
share.
do you then bring it? So I know as a life coach and as, supporting women in midlife, that one-on-one is beautiful. Like nothing beats that one-on-one connection when you're working
100%.
with
Yeah.
people. However, I think equally is when
Mhm.
it's a community.
Yeah.
So how are you building, or what ideas do you have for building community around this?
Yeah, so I have the Freedom Seeker community that is an online community at this point, and also within my Freedom Seeker program, which is the one-on-one coaching program, there is a membership in within that as well.
Mhm.
So we work one-on-one for 3 days. Pardon me, 3 times a month, and then we meet once a month for a community event. So it is all online, because most of my work is I work with women all over
Oh,
Canada, all across Canada. I have clients in the United States. So there are it is unfortunately at this point always an online, and I say unfortunate because there is nothing that beats when women come together in person. It's just
absolutely.
such an incredible feeling. So what I would like to see for myself in the future, for the community in the future, is that we also have an annual retreat of some sort where we can all come
Nice.
together and connect as well. So that's currently how I'm creating community around it. And I'm also part of community, and I encourage my clients to be part of communities as well. So I know your community, for example, the Fabulous at 50, it's a fantastic community to be part of. And I know you and I have talked about maybe collaborating on a couple of things as well.
Absolutely.
And that brings me to the other piece is, community, a big piece of community is collaboration.
Mhm.
And women are so good at collaborating. I mean, look at
Oh,
way
we
back
are.
into the day. Like that's what we do. Like
I
that's
know.
just
Just
how we
say what
operate.
the event is and let a group of women or collaborating. I'll just a very funny one or a very simple one is I re, 6 months or more ago, I had my nursing reunion. And we were in a community hall because we just wanted us. We didn't have to want to do restaurants or anything. We just had a community. We had our meal and we had to be out of there at a certain time. Well, I quietly went off to, I hadn't even told everybody we're going to shut down and clean up right now. I just started packing up a few of my things. Women looked over, boom. I had taken something out to my car. I came back within a blink of an eye. Everything's cleaned up and the chairs are packed up and everything. Like we just come together and we
Yes.
know what needs. And so
Yes.
whether it's cleaning up after something or building something, I think that's
100%.
incredible. And
Yeah.
I know that your community has there's such an uplifting feel, but there's such a heart space. Like
Hmm.
it's not all bubbly. It's all about
It's
authentic,
authentic.
like really sharing.
Hmm.
And but that's what brings that lightness, right? Like when we share, there's that upliftingness, there's that lightness, there is new possibilities.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Dwell in
it's
possibility is one
wonderful.
of my mantras. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's, authenticity is another one of my core values. So,
Yes.
that sparkles and trickles into everything. And to something you had mentioned in one of our conversations is at this, and it wasn't always like this. Like women go, we all, men and women, we all go through seasons of our lives. Like we have a seasonal cycle, just like the planet does. And this season, which is midlife, is the fall season. It is such a beautiful season and such an exciting season to be part of now, because one of my favorite things is that authenticity comes way more natural in this season,
Yes.
simply because we don't really care that much anymore
I always say the
the
filter
filters.
falls off.
Exactly. We don't care that much anymore about the filters. Like we
Yeah.
just want to get to the truth of it. We want to get to the practical aspects of it, and just be ourselves. And so that is really what excites me so much about this, is because this is an optimal time for us to go within and really like let out what naturally wants to come out, and observe that in a space, in a safe space, and play with those elements, because many of us have never been able to do that before. We've often experienced a form of oppression in that way, because society said you shouldn't do this, and mom said you need to be this in order to get there, and dad said, be a good girl and you'll always, get a man. Like there are all these stories and belief systems that we
Yes.
that we have been naturally
Buy into.
buy into, because that's just how it works. That's how society works, right?
And I think to be clear on that is most of those stories are coming from people who love us and they're saying it because that's what they believe is the way
Absolutely.
to keep you safe, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's a matter of evolving out to go, is this true? And I like that we were talking earlier and you were talking about asking and just saying, is this true for me?
Hmm. Yeah.
We don't have to throw it away. We don't have to have anger against the person. I mean, there's ones that go extreme, but I would say
Mhm.
for most of us and the majority of stories that we're buying in, what we refer to as beliefs, are simply what we've picked up. Or
Mhm.
it might have been a completely different story, but if we were young when we heard it, it's like, what did our young minds make out of it?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so now I think it's such a beautiful time. And I love the fact that you're working with women to help go, what is that I really want? Where am I? Where do
Yeah.
I want to be? And how do I get there? I think
Yes.
kind of
Yeah.
sums it up,
That's
right?
exactly
Whether
it.
you're doing it more in life coaching, I do it in a life coaching, but more in like the health and wellness side of
Mhm.
things. And let's touch base on that for a little bit because
Yeah.
women in life, like what you've noticed too, is there can be a struggle to really go, what am I doing for my mental health? What am I doing for my physical health? Like, what are your views on that? What have you been seeing? How are you helping women through that?
Mhm. It's huge. Let me just start right there. It's
Well,
probably
we've
the
just opened a
biggest.
big can.
Well, because
An
this is
open
the
door.
first place where, like, most of us are not as deeply connected with our intuition and our inner
Yep.
selves. However, we are very much connected with our physical selves, with our body.
Yeah.
So when something isn't working the way it once did, that is our first indicator that oh, something is wrong with me. That's typically where I went is, oh, something's wrong with me. How do I fix it? And uh, and so again, there's no judgment on that. It is just the way it is. We notice that more, when the wrinkles start and when this falls and whatever, that we notice that more. And you said earlier, hair can change. So it's those physical elements that typically show up first. And then something
Right.
happens, on an internal with hormones and whatnot. And all of a sudden we are feeling a little bit more cranky or a little bit more moody than we're used to. And so these are all things that are they're information for us that
Absolutely.
something is
What's going
shifting.
on? And just to be clear, is we've had several conversations, Yvonne and I, and some of this conversation around physical things that we start to go through in midlife related to menopause.
Mhm.
We had a big conversation on your podcast
Mhm.
recently. And so some of that, again, go listen to that. And then I have lots of these conversations on previous podcasts. So yeah. So what you're seeing is the women come in and sometimes just think in the early stages, it can be just go, I'm not feeling right. Something's wrong with me.
Something's wrong with me.
And the connection of, oh, maybe my hormones are starting to change. Maybe it's very much, I said this before in our previous
Mhm.
conversation, is I think of menopause as a different, very akin to adolescence.
Yes. Yeah.
We have lots to say. There's cool changes. There's lots of excitement. There's lots of beautiful prospects coming. But at the same time, our bodies are going haywire.
Yeah.
Our thoughts are going down pathways that we're like, what the heck is going on? So, this is what you're getting women coming to you and you're supporting them with that?
Well, yeah, because this is where that is my area that I'm so passionate about is the uh, w- dissatisfaction
Yeah.
piece.
Yeah.
That's what I tap into. Women may come to you maybe through the dissatisfaction around their bodies, or what's not working. For me, it's more on that, like, I'm not happy at work anymore. I'm not
Yes.
happy in my life. Like, my marriage is maybe not going the way I wanted, or my kids have just moved out. So when they come to me, there's some unhappiness there. And being
Right.
a life coach, that's my forte. That's what I work with them on.
Yeah.
And where the body, going back to the body question, comes in, it can't just be solved with talk therapy. Like, we're a full spectrum human being, so there are lots of different
Full spectrum.
elements.
Love
Right.
it.
And so what I tap into with them is where are you at? And then what are some of the small things that you can start adjusting right now? Like, what are some of the things you can do? Because here's the thing, like, this is a major transition. I just don't believe that it needs to be done like we used to leap from, say, adolescence into that next phase where it's so like boof and you're thrown into it. We can go
Yes.
gradual at this
Yeah.
stage in our life. We don't need to be doing
It's
anything
like course
hastily.
correction. Like if you're in an airplane,
Exactly.
it's not necessarily a big zhoosh. If the destination is way out there, a little course correction over time, continuously implemented, is going to make a massive difference in one's life.
Such a beautiful analogy. James Clear uses that one in Atomic Habits. And I don't have the exact data handy right now.
Yeah.
However, that's exactly what he talks about. Like,
Mhm.
with an airplane specifically, he talks how just having a small change in course can actually land you in a completely different part of the country.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at that long term, and at this stage, we are all about long vision, like, it's a
Yeah.
long game. It's not a quick fix anymore. And so that is why all of the pieces are important. Body,
Mhm.
mind, soul. My particular specialty is on the feminine wisdom side of things. And what that really means, Joanne, is we're tapping into that heart centeredness. We're tapping into your womb
Absolutely.
wisdom. We're tapping
Yeah.
into what is actually physically and intuitively happening in your womb, and do you know how to read your body? So I do various forms of talk therapy and exercises and journaling and all of these observations, and that's always where it starts, is observations, just learning to
Beautiful.
observe ourselves without that critical judgment.
Amazing. Amazing. I love this. And I know that every conversation we get into, there's a slightly different energy around it depending on which path we're following.
Mhm.
And I mean, I love your newsletter when I get it. It's one of the few newsletters. Okay, don't get mad at me, other people that send me newsletters. I love reading what you
Thank
share.
you.
And because there is always that, just that beautiful, there's always that feminine strength.
Mhm,
And this is a whole different conversation. I really believe strongly is that for centuries, for millennia, uh, we've often equated and we've bought into like feminism is weaker.
mhm,
And to me, it's like it has nothing to do. It's feminine strength. It is the softer gender.
mhm.
It's not, if we want to, even if we don't want to talk in the just that feminine has strength. I mean, look at it. Women couldn't push babies out without that kind of strength. And
100%.
I just find, and you couldn't have got out of, years ago, communist Germany without that strength.
Mhm.
And I just love that you're helping women tap into their own intuition and their own strength and where they headed from here.
Yeah.
And I can't believe we're like at the end of our time. So before we do a bit of a wrap up, how would you like to wrap this up? Like, do you have maybe three pearls of wisdom you would like to share with us just for really to be top of mind for women that are listening here today so that they really walk
Mhm.
away with what's Yvonne all about? Like, why
Mhm.
am I drawn to Yvonne?
Mm. Well, the first and foremost, freedom is a choice. That
Love
is
that one.
hands down. So start, um, or dwell in that for a little bit and just look at around you and see where am I feeling constricted,
Mhm.
and where could I open up to more freedom within that area,
Mhm.
and what would freedom do for me in that area. Um, the other pearl of wisdom, I like that word actually, pearl of wisdom, that I would say is,
I
um,
should wear my pearls at the end. Put
good.
them on and
The
go,
pearl of
your
wisdom.
pearl of I just love that term, pearls of wisdom.
Mhm. The other one that I would say is, learn to trust yourself,
Mm,
because when you're learning to trust yourself, you'll automatically be are able to expand and trust in the people around you,
yeah,
because they're not all bad. Even though, and particularly for women, it is in our DNA, we still have old trauma, from what has been done to women and what women did to each other. Um, and that doesn't have to be our truth anymore. We can
yeah,
come together. And there are so many women out there who are on that same mission. So,
yeah,
you will find your people when you open up, because the energy you send
yes,
out and the vibration you send out, you're going to attract in. So, uh, do what it takes for you to learn to trust yourself, and
I love it.
I
And
would
get
start.
support if you need support. If you're finding yourself distrusting others, often if you're distrusting others, it's often a distrust of yourself, right?
And that's my third pearl right there, is
Okay.
support. Like,
Jumping ahead.
you don't have, well, it was a beautiful feed into it. You don't have to do this alone.
Yes,
And if
yes,
you struggle with trust, a great place to start is to, hire yourself a coach or a therapist or a counselor, and work with them one-on-one, because it is such a beautiful way to, release and heal and remember who you are, and release, some of that trauma and heal some of that, past trauma that you might have experienced. So work with someone, find some support, and uh, if you're ready and you feel like you can tap into some communities, find yourself some communities that are also in that supportive, arena, and tap into that. So those would be the
beautiful.
three things I would say.
I love that. freedom is a choice, learn to trust, and get support if you need. And then I was going to also, you beautifully said it, is I think there's women out there that are like, I want to trust, I know to trust. I've maybe have been in situations where it felt a little like, ooh, I think both you and I are here to say there are some really beautiful communities out there
Absolutely.
filled with women that have loving hearts, they're powerhouses, they're doing really good stuff in the world, and we're willing to see each other's wisdom, and there's not a scarcity of, well, oh,
Mhm.
we're doing similar stuff. Let's not, play in the same sandbox. And it's really more like, look, this is a big thing. I'm doing it. She's doing it. There's so many women out there that are like, let's come together and be supportive. And I feel there's that energy out there, right?
Yes.
There is that energy out there, but you do have to look around because there's a lot of other stuff
I
out
was
there
just gonna
too.
say that, Joanne, like, and here's where you can practice that trust that I was talking about, right away. Trust that when you don't feel good in a space, get out.
Get out.
Trust that if you feel good in a space, keep going back.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to know what it may be about or where it may take you.
Yeah.
Just trust that you feel good. If you have a community that makes you feel amazing, whether it's a sport community, whether it is a walking community, a dog community, a women's
Yeah.
community, whatever it is, if it makes you feel good and you laugh at least once or twice within the hour that you're spending with them,
That's a great.
then, trust that and
Yeah.
just keep coming back. Just keep coming back to it.
I love that. I love that. So remind us, I know we said at the beginning, check the show notes and join your freedom seeker
Your
community
community.
and buy her book. It's a fantastic book, but just remind exactly how people can do that. Share your
Yeah.
website
Well,
or
the
you have
best place
somewhere
to
else to
go for
go.
anything around all the things I do would be on my website. So yvonnewinkler.com. It's super simple. Um, The, uh, the freedom seeker community is great as well. I do have a little something for your community that I
Oh,
wanted to
nice.
share. Uh,
Nice.
and I may use it in other places too because I love the wordplay. I came up with this.
Okay.
But I created this fabulous at midlife empowerment toolkit for
Oh,
your
nice.
community. And so what I would like to do is it's a giveaway. And your name can get entered into this draw when you are participating. So, you ready? The
Absolutely.
toolkit includes an ebook of one of my favorite authors on the topic of perimenopause and menopause and midlife. And
Okay.
that is called Perimenopause Power by Macy Hill.
Nice.
And the Yvonne Winkler created Harmony Journal. Uh, it's also a digital copy download and some mindfulness exercises. And I'm going to throw in a free 30-minute Get Your Joy Back call with me. So
Nice. Nice.
that is my little
Fantastic.
toolkit.
Love that.
And the way you can get entered into it is join this link that Joanne's going to add to the show notes here. Join the Freedom Seeker Insider newsletter. And that gives you one entry. And do you want to do this too, Joanne? If they follow us
Fun.
on Instagram,
Yeah.
then they'll get another entry.
Oh,
And
fantastic. So
and
share your Instagram.
I will. My Instagram is Yvonne Winkler _ at the end. And
And
then
mine,
if you
if you need anything, is Joanne_Newiduk.
yeah,
But also we have the Fab is at 50. It's Fab at 50 community.
perfect. All right. So
Yep.
there's another entry. And then the third way to get your name into for this amazing toolkit is share this episode with
Mhm.
someone that you care about and tag us in that so that we know that you shared it along and you get another entry. So we'll do
Beautiful.
a draw. I probably I'll work out the details and maybe you can let them know through your community when we'll do the draw
Absolutely.
for this. Yeah.
Fantastic. Oh, I love that. You've really put a lot of work into it, lots of good stuff. I love how when we get together, like we're on the same wavelength. It's like, I just did almost the exact same thing. I had no idea you were doing the same. Like, it's just wonderful. It's just wonderful. I'm so happy that you were here today. And I really look forward to, maybe we'll plan another chit chat in about 6 months' time and follow up on how things are going.
That would be amazing. Thanks for having me, Joanne.
Oh, you're welcome. And goodbye, everyone. Stay fabulous. And I was going to say, usually it's keep choosing fabulous or stay fabulous, but also be a freedom seeker.
Yay!
Take care. Thank you so much for tuning in today. But before you leave, I'm curious. What pearl of wisdom are you taking away from today's episode? I do hope it held some inspiration or information for you to live your best life. If you are not yet part of our sisterhood, I invite you to join our community by visiting our website, fabulousat50.com, and you'll receive a free copy of our ebook, Make Mine Fabulous, 21 Ways to Energize Your Life. It is packed with loads of tips and tricks. Plus, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to this podcast and leave us a review to let us know what you think. Remember, keep choosing fabulous. It's never too late to live the life you deserve. Catch you on the next episode.